Disclaimer: this video does not depict actual events, but is a fantasy for entertainment purposes only and serves no other purpose.
The Monongahela was a whaling ship from New Bedford, Massachusetts, USA. It had a displacement of 238 tons, a length of 26 meters, and a width of 7.6 meters. It was launched in 1849. The captain of the ship was Jason Seabury, a bachelor in his mid-40s, of average height and build, with dark hair and a small beard and mustache. His face was stern and imposing, which did not match his personality. Jason was a good-natured man who enjoyed socializing with the sailors. He never missed an opportunity to eat and drink with the crew, tell them stories, or even listen to them. He enjoyed it. He was one with the crew, and they loved and respected him for it. Jason Seabury was an excellent and knowledgeable sailor who sailed the seas as a cabin boy at the age of 17. The captain was also known for his bravery. Jason always led the whale hunts himself, wielding a harpoon, which inspired his crew. Seabury was also a very tolerant man, not particularly xenophobic, which was surprising for the time. In addition to the Americans, his team of 20 also included 2 Englishmen and 1 Indian. It was with such a crew that the Monongahela left Massachusetts on October 11, 1850, and embarked on a cruise around the northern and southern Americas, hunting whales and extracting their blubber, which was used in lighthouses, lanterns, and street and home lamps before the invention of kerosene. Whaling was a crucial but deadly profession, reserved for the most daring individuals like Jason Seabury and his crew. In 2 years, they had killed 10 sperm whales and filled their hold with barrels of whale oil. Mr. Seabury and his crew were in high spirits, having already rounded South America and entered the Pacific Ocean. However, on the morning of January 13, 1852, a man on watch reported seeing white water, a sign of marine activity. Seabury hoped they had stumbled upon a sperm whale and instructed Monongahela to keep a safe distance away to avoid scaring the animal away. Looking at the white water, Seabury thought it was probably a flock of porpoises, but he ordered the long boats to be prepared, in case, and told the observer to continue his watch. In a few minutes only, about 7 o'clock in the morning, the observer again began to point and shout. And Captain Seabury looked just in time to see a patch of red skin before it disappeared under the water. The observer stated that, whatever it was not a whale. It was too large, too long. Seabury ordered his men to be ready to launch, and then waited to see if the creature would appear again. Seabury and his men waited for almost an hour before the next observation was made. About a mile away from the ship, the captain saw a body that was moving slowly, with a motion, like a swaying rope when it is shaken and held in the hand. The creature's head was not visible. Silently, the crew watched as more of the body emerged, revealing its immense length. Then, the tail began to vibrate, stirring the water, and the strange beast's head rose above the surface. Captain Seabury looked at the creature's head and realized that it was not just an ordinary animal, but a legendary sea serpent. He then ordered his men to board the boats. However, they hesitated, unsure of the value of pursuing this formidable creature. Seabury gave an inspiring speech to his men, saying, "We have 2 options. The first is to be cowards and continue our journey, and when we tell others about what we saw, they will rightfully dismiss us as liars and madmen. There is a second way. We will take a chance, show courage and kill this monster, get its head, so that no one will doubt our words. Who wants to go the second way, come forward." In the end, all the sailors came forward. The Monongahela began to move towards the serpent. At the captain's command, 3 boats filled with experienced sailors were launched from the ship. As always, Seabury took the lead in the lead boat and instructed the whalers to aim for the serpent's neck and eyes. They quickly approached the serpent from behind, and as they got closer, the serpent seemed to grow larger. Eventually, when they were within striking distance, James Whitmore, the leader of the second boat, threw a harpoon at the serpent's neck. The creature immediately raised its head out of the water, in excruciating pain. It turned its head back towards the boats, and the sailors could see its tiny, gray-blue eyes. Captain Seabury did not hesitate, and he shouted loudly ordering Charles Anderson, the leader of the third boat, to throw a harpoon at the creature, which he promptly did. The harpoon hit the snake's neck from the other side, and the snake, in a state of intense pain and rage, lunged directly at Seabury's boat. The rapidly approaching head of the beast frightened the crew, and 3 of them jumped overboard. Seabury instinctively raised his harpoon to defend himself, inadvertently piercing the serpent's eye with the spear. Knocked off the boat, the captain attempted to resurface twice. As he reached Charles's boat, surrounded by blood-soaked foam, the snake disappeared from the surface. Seabury shouted for Monongahela to come alongside, which was done. All the sailors were rescued, with no casualties or serious injuries. The ropes were attached to the ship, and the crew wanted to pull the monster to the surface, but Seabury was afraid that if they pulled on the ropes, the harpoons might release the serpent and they would lose it forever. It was estimated that the snake was at a depth of 1,000 fathoms, about 6,000 feet below the surface. At 4 a.m. on January 14, 16 hours after the snake was defeated, the captain asked everyone to take a break for breakfast, as there was nothing else to do at the moment. And when they were finishing their meal, the cook warned them that the creature had surfaced. Only a piece of the snake was visible above the surface, which they pierced with a harpoon. Seabury lowered 3 long boats and repeatedly pierced the body, but there were no signs of life. As they did this, more and more of the body came to the surface. They continued to cut through, and suddenly the creature woke up, and the boats moved away as fast as they could. The sea serpent's final agony lasted about 15 minutes, after which it fell silent forever. The snake's body was relatively easy to pull onto the ship. It was decided to preserve the head, skin, and bones, as it was unlikely that the entire body could be transported to the port. A crew member who was skilled in drawing was asked to draw the creature as it lay, while another member was tasked with measuring the beast before attempting to depict its body. Captain Seabury prepared a detailed report on the incident, including a full description of the creature itself. The head was cut off and brought on board, and salt was used to preserve it. Several bones, a heart, and one of the snake's eyes were also brought on board and stored in large jars of liquor. The snake's belly contained pieces of squid and a large black fish. On January 20th, a ship named the Rebecca Sims, under the command of Captain Sturgis, encountered the Monongahela. It was Captain Sturgis whom Seabury entrusted with his letter, ensuring that news of the monster's defeat reached the port before the Monongahela. Seabury and his men feared that the head might not reach the port, as it now emitted an unpleasant odor, a clear sign of decay. The Rebecca Sims was on its way to the port of Bridgeport, where Sturgis delivered Seabury's letter to the post office and sent it to New Bedford, where the first newspaper reports about the story were later published. All the residents of the city were waiting for the arrival of the Monongahela, so that they could see the monster from the depths with their own eyes. But neither the residents of the city nor the crew of the Monongahela knew that the sea snake that had been killed by Seabury was not an ordinary monster, but the great mother of a local sea serpent clan consisting of 12 males and 5 young. Moreover, they did not know about the sea serpent's ability to communicate over long distances by transmitting electrical signals to each other. When the clan matriarch was attacked, she immediately informed her fellow clan members, who immediately left their hiding places and went to help their leader. But all they found was the decapitated corpse of the Great Mother lying at the bottom. The entire clan was in despair and grief over the loss of their only protector, and they were filled with a desire to find and punish those who had done this. Fortunately for them, the female sea serpent had a special crown-like structure on its head that acted as a signal repeater, even after its death, and the males were able to easily locate the villains who had done this. For several days, they tracked the signal's location until they came across 2 human vessels, the Monongahela and the Rebecca Sims. The males determined that the matriarch's head was on the Monongahela, but they hesitated to attack while the Rebecca Sims was nearby. They waited for the second ship to depart before deciding to launch their assault. They surrounded the ship from different directions, making it more difficult for the sailors to defend themselves, and then launched an attack. Captain Seabury was standing on the captain's bridge at the time, and in order to somehow mask the foul smell of the sea serpent's head in the hold, he was smoking a cigar and thinking about the best way to get rid of this disgusting odor. However, his thoughts were interrupted by a powerful impact on the right side of the ship, caused by the collision with something underwater. Both Seabury and his crew were knocked to the ground by the sudden impact. Seabury immediately realized that it was not a wave, but something living. As he struggled to his feet, a second, even stronger impact struck the left side of the ship, followed by a third impact on the right side. At first, the captain thought it was a pack of killer whales, and he ordered the crew to grab their harpoons. The sailors took up their weapons and spread out along the sides of the ship, ready to repel any intruders that might appear. For a few seconds, there was a deathly silence, broken only by the gentle waves of the ocean. Suddenly, a large, black, scaly head emerged from the water near the starboard side, snatching one of the sailors named John Smith and pulling him underwater in an instant. It all happened so quickly that neither the captain nor the sailors could make out who it was, but they knew for sure that it wasn't a killer whale. The entire crew of the Monongahela was gripped by panic and a sense of dread. Suddenly, the ship was subjected to a series of powerful blows, this time striking the hull. The Monongahela's deck began to sway, and people and objects that were not secured with ropes began to bounce and fall to the floor. But as soon as the noise stopped, the sentry on the mast noticed several long, black heads emerging from the water, just like the one that had dragged Smith away. Before the sentry could shout, at least 6 creatures quickly climbed aboard the ship and attacked the sailors, who were still recovering from the recent attack. The battle was fierce, and there were immediate casualties. The sailor Sam Rogers was thrown into the air by a powerful blow from one of the creature's heads, and he crashed into the ship's side, breaking his spine and dying instantly. Another sailor, Bob Lindman, attempted to attack, but before he could even pick up his harpoon from the floor, his head was instantly bitten off. James Whitmore harpooned one of the serpents in the tail, causing it to writhe across the deck in pain, like an eel in a frying pan. But Whitmore was instantly attacked by another serpent, which tore it apart. 3 sailors threw a net over the other reptile, but it began spinning so fast that one of them instantly broke both arms. That sailor was Chuck Larson, the one who had drawn the slain serpent body in his notebook. The battle created an unimaginable roar on the ship. The entire hull shook, as if 100 rails were being dropped from a great height onto the deck. Groans, death cries, and the screams of men maimed and crazed with terror mingled with the roar of battle and the cracking of wood on the deck. Jason Seabury watched all this from his bridge, trying to help the crew by throwing objects around him at the sea serpents and giving orders to the sailors. Eventually, in the second half of the battle, the remaining sailors recovered from the shock and began fighting back, prompting all 6 sea serpents to retreat back to sea. But before the crew could recover from the attack, they felt a blow to the side so strong that several men fell overboard. The serpents had punched a hole in the Monongahela's side the size of a gate large enough to easily accommodate a carriage. Water gushed inside the ship, flooding the holds. The captain ordered the breach repaired immediately. The sailors tried in vain to cover the hole with wooden shields, propping them up with braces. The waves knocked out the timbers, forcing them to work waist deep in water. The entire lower hold was flooded, the list began to increase, and the Monongahela tilted to starboard. Desperate cries of, "The ship is capsizing," echoed across the decks. Captain Seabury descended from the bridge, a bloody wound to his forehead from his fall, but still holding a cigarette. Grasping the railing of the wooden staircase and standing with his legs spread wide, he told his crew, "This is the end." Then he took a final drag and shouted, "Save yourselves. All to the lifeboats. Abandon ship." Instantly, every sailor rushed to the lifeboats. There was no time to lose. Water rushed in torrents across the lower deck, flooding the corridors. Bloodied men crowded around the lifeboats, trying to be the first to board. One of the lifeboats, carrying 5 men, launched itself into the water but was instantly dragged underwater by sea serpents. The men began to flounder helplessly in the water, and their comrades tried unsuccessfully to pull them back onto the deck. But it ended when Monongahela fell onto her port side. The deck became vertical, and sliding along it, people fell to the port side along with broken wood, boxes, ropes, boats, and corpses. Arms and legs were broken, heads were smashed. The disaster was compounded by the fact that sea serpents swam around the ship like sharks, dragging those who fell into the water to the bottom. The air rang with cries for help, and amid this welter of people and debris, tossed by the waves, the jaws of sea serpents appeared here and there, dragging someone down with them. Captain Seabury, despite all the chaos, did not abandon ship. It was clear to everyone that he wanted to perish with the Monongahela. All he cared about was ensuring the proper rescue of his subordinates. Holding onto the railing, almost hanging on, he shouted commands, trying to be heard over the cries of the others. "Holy shit, farther from the sides, you'll get sucked into the whirlpool. Go on, sail away." The ship capsized, its sails shattering, and began to sink. The sea around it was literally boiling. Only 10 people survived, but the serpents finished them off before the Monongahela had time to sink. It wasn't until 1855 that the wreckage of the Monongahela was discovered off the coast of Alaska.